Hey everyone, I'm Jim T. Graham with RCGroups.com, and today we're checking out the F-27 Evolution. This is an E-flite wing from Horizon. I actually was able to hold the prototype of this thing when I visited their offices last summer. We're going to look in the box and see what you get. We're going to put it together, and then we're going to head out to the field and take it for a fly. I also have it rigged with the FPV nose on it, so we're going to get the goggles on. My favorite goggles from Horizon. And we're also going to get it talking to the IX-12, and I'll do that in the review as well. And we'll bind it and set it up with an SPM file that I'm going to try to download from the internet to the transmitter and see how easy I can make the whole process. So stay tuned and enjoy. All right, let's crack into the F-27 Evolution and see what's in the box. Right off the bat, one of the things that Horizon always does for us is they give us a box that can actually work as a travel case. So I will say, as a guy who's had a lot of these, when you're opening whatever it is, the F-27 or whatever you purchase from Horizon, always be careful with the box on initially opening. So all I've done is cut the tape, which allows this cross beam to open up, revealing the F-27. So this is a three-piece design, meaning that you don't need any tools to take it apart if you were to need to do that. It's probably not big enough to need to be taken apart. So this is the main fuselage. It has the inputs for your wings. It has a nice place to grab to throw the F-27. It has a little plastic piece here to land on. Let's say if you're landing on asphalt or something like that. I know most guys that fly these land them in the grass. The motor is pre-installed. Prop is even pre-installed, which is awesome, but I would urge you to check that before you fly it to make sure it's tight. I have gone to the field and not checked and blew the prop right off on certain models, so always do that. And then of course the canopy. Not sure why this is always exciting, but you press the button and then we see that internally we have our AS3X receiver, battery connector, the antenna, and some straps for your battery. I'm going to tell you something now. You do want to add Velcro to the bottom. I have seen it more than a few times at this point in the game where the pilots only used the strap and pulled some hard G maneuver only to launch the battery right out of the airplane. And then this is our nose piece. So there's a few options here, and we'll talk about that when we get there. Very good looking. Also, by the way, the stickers are already applied, and that may not seem like a big deal to you, but I have literally spent more time putting stickers on a plane than it took to build the plane. All right, so let's keep going. Let's see what else we have in here. We have another cross member that you can hang on to. And then our wings appear to be pre-built. So the servos are installed, clevises, everything's already on there. That's a nice covering job over the servo. It's like some sort of plastic, kind of a thin plastic. And then once again, we have decals on there again. We have a built-in servo plug, and then we have our, once again, you don't need tools to put this onto the fuse. In fact, you know, I gotta admit, I'm the kind of guy that will try to build something before I read the manual, and then I say to myself, I'm just testing the usability, the you know, how functional it is right out of the box. Is it something that anyone can build? Really, you should probably read the instructions. I'll urge you to, and I will read the instructions, but not right now. So here's the other wing. Nice graphics. I like the yellow. You know me, I'm a red, black, and white guy, but this kind of yellowy green color is cool. And then what else do we have in here? I have a piece of tape. And here's our fins. Now, I'm always sad when there's not rudders on the fins, but I'm sure that was done for a weight issue. And also, I didn't mention this. I actually got to hold the prototype of this at the Horizon offices not fully a year ago, but they were like, Jim, what do you think of this? And I said, looked like an FPV plane to me. And we'll talk about what evolved into that here in a second, because I have the FPV piece for the nose cone on this. But all that to say, I'm sure that Matt Andrin and all the people involved in designing this took the rudders into consideration and left them out for a reason. If you're super cool, you could add them back yourself, but there's other planes out there that have that thing. And now we have the carbon fiber tubes, always so important, because without them you'll probably fold your wing up, which is exciting but not good for your airframe. So we have 4 of these, 2 big ones and 2 small ones. I'm just going to put those right here, and I don't see anything else. Now, while we're here, kind of everything in a pile, and what I'll do next is remove this and put this together. I want to show you, you know what I'm not seeing? The nose cone. Here it is. So this is your stock nose cone. I don't feel that there's any weight in there. It has little clips or extensions that will pop on and plug in. So this would be if you were just flying sport, if you were not an FPV. Check this out. Holy cow. I kind of have it blocked here. The case actually has 2 nose cone receptacles. So, and I'm going to, oh, where'd it go? Here it is. So they were thinking in advance for a guy like me who might be using this case. So let's say you're going to Seth or an event like that. This would be a great way to put this in your truck and not have to worry that you forgot anything, or that you just have it all together safely, because I do more damage in my truck than I ever do on the field. So here is the FPV nose. This has a camera pre-installed. I guess this is a power lead that goes out. And we'll learn more about that as we move along. And so what I'm saying is they've created this case so that you can have both your nose cones in there. Man, that's why Horizon is awesome. I see another piece of tape here and a baggie. And this is just a vine cable, which if it were me, and it is, I would put that back in there and put the tape back down, and that way I always have it if I need it. I don't see anything else. The one other thing you're going to need for all of this is a battery. And this can take a 3S or a 4S. And this is a 4S 1800. And this is the thrust battery line from Horizon. And so the great news is I went out into the shop behind me, and I do have more 4S like in the 1800 zone. I have some that are exactly like this and some that are shorter, but they'll all fit in here once we find out where the CG is. But you can also put your 3S 2200s, which, you know, I used to have so many of those, but I've kind of smoked them all because of time and leaving things plugged in. But anyway, all that to say, you should have a lot of batteries that fit this wing. So now I'm going to clear the deck and leave all the pieces out. We're going to put this thing together. All right, I broke tradition and took a brief look into the manual once again. You always follow the manual, but it's pretty obvious what's going on here. We have our wing tubes, and we have a small receptacle for the small wing tube. Oh, it's going in at an angle. Of course, the wing's at an angle. I'm putting that in. It stopped right there. And then I have my large CF tube. You know, these don't always go in smoothly into every airplane. And those went in great, nice and easy. Alright, now we're going to grab the appropriate wing. Let's see, that is this side. So what we have here are, here we go. What we have here are 2 lead pieces that are obviously going to pop in. We have our carbon fiber tubes that are going to go in the slots. And then we have this servo that's going to plug right into its own receptacle. So let's make the magic. Here we go. Alright, lined up the back. Should take a picture. I'll do that in a second. Okay, I have it all lined up, and I'm simply going to slide everything together and then pull back, and I am locked in. That was super easy. We have this nice little leading edge black piece of plastic, I guess, to protect the seam there. I could make a phone call and find out. That might be in case you like whack into a branch or something. That keeps it from getting in between. And then the next question would be, how do I take that wing off? I will find out for you on the next wing half that we do. Well, while we're here, let's go ahead and check this out. Now, I'm sure this might be a little tricky when you crash, but it sure is easy going in. This fin is simply going to pop in with these plastic pieces. This is, you know, I have been able to go to the Horizon offices and meet the people that sit around and think up ways to put together things like this, and they are great people, very nice, but I certainly appreciate what they do when I have an airplane like this and I'm putting it together. And I know, and you know, that they've been sitting around their offices thinking, how can we make this easier? Look at that. It's in, it's tight, there's no gap, it looks good, and it's in. That's amazing. Okay, we'll do the other side and I'll be right back. How incredibly easy this was to build. I'm blown away. We should give an award for the design on this thing. I know I sound like I'm gushing, because I am. I haven't been here like 8 minutes. If I wasn't shooting a video, I could have put this together in like less than 5. So the only thing I have to say is we have our nose pieces here, and the FPV that I'm definitely going to use, nose piece, has a cable that runs through it, so it has a little channel. I probably will tape this to the sidewall just to keep it out of the way in the future. And then this kind of mounts like something you might mount on your wall. It goes in to the left, finding the slots, and then you turn it to the right to lock it on. And then it clicks on, it's locked. And there's your nose piece. FPV camera engaged. Put the canopy back on. It's ready to fly. That is really amazing. It's good looking. It's not too small. They do have a small version of this, which I was at the field at last week, and I was like, wow, is that what I'm getting? This is a larger version, so you could actually take some wind. This might be great on the beach. We'll find out. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get the battery in there, get it charged, of course, first, and then I'm going to bring it out in this video just to show it off. I have not, this is the new IX-12, and so we'll get the IX-12 working with the F-27. I'll talk about that in this review, and then I'll talk about it in the IX-12 review, and just all kinds of good fun. Okay, that's it for the build and the unboxing. Truly magnificent. If you literally could buy this at a show and have it flying in 15 minutes, just to walk out to the flight line and go fly. Amazing. Or your field or whatever. rcgroups.com. Check back, and we'll be working on the getting everything, talking to the transmitter, and getting ready to fly. Alright everybody, so I actually broke my own rule. I have read the manual a couple of times, went online. I even called Matt Andrin, the designer of the F-27. And just to verify, the CG is 140 millimeters from the firewall to the middle of the wing, and the CG listed in my manual is 67 millimeters. So disregard the printed CG, definitely go online. 140, that is 5.51 inches, and visually it is right in the manual. So 5.51 is right in line with what they're showing you. It is, and let me get right on that firewall and go to 5.5 and go to 1 and slide over here. It is, I will move my level actually. It is just about right here on the wing. So with that, since it's not marked on the wing, and sometimes they do that, but I'm not seeing that on this unit, you would then want to get a good representation on where that is, and I would say that's somewhere right in here. And what I like to do is take a Sharpie and put a little dot under there, so the next time I need to find it, I'm not wondering. Okay everyone, here is an interesting, cool / easy. You can do it a couple of ways. If you just have a regular old Spectrum radio of the standard variety, I talked to the designer of the plane, Matt, and he's like, Jim, it's so simple. It's in the manual. The only key thing to know here is that you want to select the acro mode and not a wing as a type. So that would be the only thing to be aware of. The rest is here. It sounds like there's nothing complicated. If you've owned a plane from E-flite Horizon before, then you know how to bind, and there's a binding in the manual here as well. So what I thought we might do to make things interesting and tricky, which seems to be the way I like it, is we're going to get on the new IX-12. Have I said how good it feels in the hand? It feels awesome. And we're going to go into our launch page, and I've gone to rcgroups.com. Now this is one sentence of the review. When I'm done, it'll be a whole review, and you could send yourself a link to it. And right here it says SPM file. If you're ham-fisted, you might want to get a stylus because some of these things are small. So I'm going to click that, and it's going to ask me, what do you want me to do with this, JT? So what you want to do is save the link. So I'm going to click Save the Link. Now this should be talking to my telephone, which it's using as a wireless connection. There we go. So now it's downloading it, as you see, and it's in a download file. The next question is, what do I do now? So I'm going to go back out of here, and we're going to go back into the software. So then we just go into the SPM Airware app, which takes us back into the radio. So now it's loaded up, and you know, this looks similar to what you might see, except everything's a touch screen and it's on the OS. So how do I get the SPM in here is your next question. You're going to touch Acro or the name of the plane. If it says F-27 Evolution, it would say that up there. And then we're going to click turn off the RF, and you have to long press that. That can be a little confusing. And then the next phase is go to the upper right hand corner, and we're going to press these 3 orange buttons, and we're going to click import models. So I touch that, and then it's going to ask me, well, where do you want me to import it from? And we're going to go to our download. Could be on a DCM. If you had an SD card, that would be how you would do it with that. And then there's already some things in here. So I see F-27. I've got 2 because I downloaded it twice into the file. So I'm going to click F-27. Let me do it with my finger now. So, oh yes, so up here it says F-27 Evolution SPM. I'm going to confirm and import your model. Alright, I'm going to click this, and then I'm going to click OK. And there it is, the F-27 Evolution. And so we'll click on that. Select Activate Model. I haven't gotten this far on my own here. So there it is. It's installing the SPM file. The beauty about this is now you have the same SPM file as the guy who designed the airplane. So you have his exact setup in here, and it's ready to rock. So next, I guess, we'll plug in a battery, bind, and make sure everything's pointing in the right direction. And after that, we get to go fly. Okay, so if you already own a Horizon plane with the AS3X, you probably are familiar with the bind process. But I'm going to take the provided bind plug. Usually, most bind plugs work, but I like to use the one that comes with the plane because sometimes it matters. And I'm going to plug that into the bind port. I'm also going to power off my transmitter while I'm doing this. So the transmitter is off. Then I'm going to make sure my bind plug is pointing the right direction. You can look at the other plugs, servo plugs in the receiver, and that'll tell you which way to go. It will not fit if it's not going in the right way, trust me. Leaving the battery connected, but I'm disconnecting the bind plug. Then I'm going to go in my transmitter and I'm going to push bind. And then I'm going to now walk away from the plane because it matters. And I'm going to make sure the antenna is pointed away too. So I'm walking away. I'm long pressing the bind button. And so my bind was successful. The airplane is responding. Let me say that I actually tried to do this an arm's length away, and that did not work. And I did it again. That's how I usually do it. It didn't work, so I actually walked away from the airplane, and everything works fine. So we'll verify that our surfaces are moving. So I showed that you put the wings together like this, and I verified with the designer that to pull the wings off, there's no mechanism or switch or anything you need to push, pull, or pinch. You just wiggle very slightly and detach the wing that way. So we had some nice weather, gusty 9-mile-per-hour winds, but I thought that would be a good test for the F-27. You see that right and left rock? Jason's testing out the safe. He said he felt like he had more right and left than usual in safe, which can be good. And you'll see me editing here. This thing's so fast it was hard to keep it in frame a lot of the time. So if you see an edit, that's what's going on here. One thing I'll note is I did not hear Jason hitting the trim tabs. So it's just a testament to how well these are set up out of the box from Horizon. They're really great at that at this point in the game. Just so good. And then we slowed it down a little bit just to see what the characteristics were. And if you've flown a F-27, you know there's no surprises here. It can be a nice sporty plane on a 3S. And as we found later, you'll see in this video, 4S is ballistic. And landing is super simple and easy. So whether you're pretty much close to a beginner or an expert, this is awesome. Now we attach the FPV nose on this plane. Now we have the capability of putting on the goggles and flying the way I really enjoy flying. So you'll notice the camera for me is pretty not bad at all. It's got a wide FOV, which for me is always better than narrow. And I was really blown away. You know, this is a 150 milliwatt video transmitter, 30-acre field you're looking at here. The only time I really started to lose it, you'll see it here in a second. Hello, airplane. Is I am around the end of the soccer field with my back to the plane. And as soon as it staticked out, I thought, oh, I hit the limit. And then I thought, no, you need to turn around and face your plane while you're flying certain directions. And I did that, and I felt really good. I mean, look at this signal. Very awesome. Now, after this video, or after I showed this FPV video, we're also going to show high-speed 4S. And I did have a little bit that's the part right there by the soccer field where I started staticking out. But like I say, I'm literally facing away from the antenna. So I tried again. I think I do another round. I go back around and try to face it. But when we put it on 4S, right now you're flying at around below half throttle. And like I say, it's 9, so it's getting tossed around. We're about to learn a valuable lesson about this wing. It does like to fly fast, and it'll get on rails. It's like a boat getting up on step. You get the speed right, and the wind doesn't really matter anymore. So this is kind of a slow speed 3S type FPV. I went on to fly pretty close to the baseball field and do some other things. And then I handed it over to Jason. This might be my editing point right here. I think I got pretty close to this backstop net. And I'm not going very fast, as you can see. Zinga, there it goes. Okay, let's cut over to Jason, who's on 4S and about 3 times the pilot that I am. Jason, or that this video is not sped up in any way. Jason is ripping and tearing. Also, P.S. Jason has flown competitively in wing FPV racing. But look at how scorchingly fast this thing is going. So I'm not sure what Jason expected, but I do know that he was blown away and he was giggling and laughing and just ringing this thing out. The light post. He said on the light post, he said, you can just point it in a direction, and if you're headed towards something, you just think about going a different direction, and off it goes. Look at this thing. Just ripping and a tearing. So, F-27 evolution, it can be a sport plane, it can be an FPV plane, it can be a fun, no-stress plane, or it can be a high-speed wing that Jason says that he felt he could race competitively with. I don't know what the top speed is, but it's crazy. So we are seeing a little more static on this one. I'm not sure exactly why, if it's the higher speed or if it's because I'm not flying, so I was sitting on a picnic bench just facing one direction. That might be the problem. But I will say that none of this static would affect my ability to fly and kind of comes with 5.8. But a great example of what you can do, how far you can push the envelope on this thing right here. Hey, I want to thank Horizon and E-flite and the whole design team for this recreation of the F-27. I love that they thought about the nose having the extra nose. You have to buy it separately with the FPV piece inside. That's great and easy and simple. And the build could not be any easier. You could buy this at Seth or Joe Nall and walk out under a tent and put it together and be flying in minutes. Nothing bad to say, and the price is right too. So a lot of good stuff. Hey man, I do these videos to help you in case you have any questions, because I know I always have questions, and so I try to answer whatever I think I might have a question of, and hopefully that helps you as well. It looks like we're coming in. Yep, right on the asphalt. Hey, I'm Jim T. Graham, rcgroups.com. Check us out, and check in the description below for a link to the full review with photos, specs, links, the whole dang deal. Bye.